a lot of people didn't know who were Palestinians.
Yeah.
Like they had no clue. I often got Pakistan. Like, no, Palestine. It's a little different. Like, we're in that region. It's close. It's not that close, but it's close enough.
Wasn't clicking.
It's not. But so a lot of people didn't know. But I'm very cultural. My father, my father, God rest his soul, was like really adamant about me like growing up Palestinian.
Dope.
We love being Americans.
Of
I'm
course.
American. I was born and raised. But culture is so important. Like,
It is.
Our culture is everything to me. I went back there often. I would literally go back there in the summers, and when I was playing ball in high school, summer's important.
That's
just
when you
you're getting in
grind.
shape. That's when you're getting in shape. So I would go back there. Really wasn't playing ball. Was having fun with my cousins.
Yeah, a little
and
soccer
stuff.
maybe.
Yeah.
Not even
That's
that.
not my sport. I can't do the soccer. I just don't have the footwork for the soccer. So I'd come back completely out of shape. But those summers like shaped and molded me as a Palestinian American.
Yeah.
And it was. I always talk to people about being Palestinian. So like, if you knew me when I was younger, I'm talking about high school, middle school, college, my college roommates. Everyone around me knew what Palestine was and where it was.
Yeah.
I gave them Palestinian things to like kufiyas, debka, which is our traditional dance, Palestinian like Arabic songs and music. I would play stuff in my dorm room. And they'd be like, that's pretty dope. What is that? I'm like, yeah, this is this. So I always shared my culture with others. So people around me knew, but people that didn't were always like, where is that? What is that?
Yeah.
Very few people knew, but I made it a point to like educate and give people the like information. And now like we are like the talk of the world.
Literally, and deservedly so. And like, man, it's some heinous activities. Because I want to give the proper opportunity for you to really shape the narrative, because I don't I don't formulate strong opinions until I have enough information. I don't have what they say, a dog in a race or a horse in a race, whatever the saying is. But I'm big in relation to righteousness, humanity, compassion, just the human experience, right? What's right and what's wrong. And there's clearly a lot of wrong going on. In the name of war, it just gets really muddy. So I really want to give you the opportunity. Actually, let's jump into that, and then I'm going to peel back into your professional journey, because it has to be burning in your heart in relation to, man, like this is actually happening. My heart bleeds for my people. So what is the background? We talk about, you can go into Zionism, you can talk about the historical context, talk about false, fake news. Where's the truth in the middle ground where people can begin to start to understand what's actually happening?
Well, I think where we have to start is, and I've heard this before, and this is not to say anything that you said anything wrong, that, having a dog in the race. I think the overarching thing that's happening here, this is a struggle of those in power versus the powerless. That's what this is about.
Period.
This is literally a human struggle.
Yeah.
This is not a struggle just for the Palestinian people.
Sure.
We're fighting this struggle on behalf of all people, all around the world, all oppressed people.
Excellent.
Whether it's blacks in America,
sure,
whether it's people in the Congo right now. You got struggles everywhere. So
everywhere. This
is a struggle against the power structure.
Excellent.
Which is, very important to understand that it's all intertwined and connected.
Well, that's where my biggest passion is. And I said, obviously being an African American in America, whereas I've never had harsh experience with racism, run-ins, skirmishes, and but understanding the history and the narrative, I said, it's very interesting, because I said it's a dicey conversation for America, and I want to get back into what's going on in Palestine. But oppression is the real issue. The real issue is humans, right? The narrative that oppression fits in America is racism, right? And I think it happens everywhere, right? But I think when you talk about every issue is the power refusing to secede or consider, right, those who are lesser, and those who are in power oppressing those who have or would just look, hey man, how about let's exist, right? Because when you're giving power, powers should be given to serve others, empower others, equip others. And find, and that's just like I said, from a human experience.
What's happening now is you have a country with unchecked power.
There you go.
And that's the state of Israel. It is an unchecked power, which is the most dangerous thing to. And even just individually, if you have unchecked power, a lot of times you will abuse that power.
You will abuse it.
You need to have some checks and balances. Every system needs that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the United Nations is supposed to be that system of checks and balances for like countries around the world. And it was set up to establish that check and balance. But what's the point if they can send a Security Council resolution or pass anything that just gets ignored?
Yeah.
And that's what's happening there. But the truth is this is a pretty simple conflict. Let's just say that. I mean, it is a genocide. It's not a war. Wars are fought between sovereign people, sovereign countries, sovereign nations. You have the Palestinian people who are, basically defenseless.
Sure.
And then you have the Israeli army, which is one of the strongest militaries in the world, not just the region, in the world. They're a nuclear power. You have people who are in government positions within Israel that are calling for complete destruction of a people. They're literally announcing, okay, first they said, not first, but this is just after October 7th, which there's so much more before October 7th that got us there, which we could talk about for days. But just quickly announcing that they're going to cut off the food, the water supply, fuel, and just electricity, just completely cutting 2.3 million people off, as if there's any justifiable grounds for that. There are none.
Yeah.
And then you have others like Netanyahu himself. He is a war criminal.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. He's out there using biblical text, which, listen, I'm Muslim, I believe you're Christian, right? Somebody next to us could be Jewish. I honestly don't care what your faith is, I care how you treat me. Who you pray to, how you pray, when you pray. That's your personal relationship with God. So my relationship is not going to change because of your faith. It's never been that way, and it's usually not that way for most people.
Well, it's the evidence of your faith, right? How you treat people.
Right, exactly. It's how we're going to engage each other, the respect we're going to have for each other. So when you have the prime minister basically quoting Amalek, and which is a very, pretty vicious statement, basically kill everything in sight, men, women, children. This is the prime minister. Yeah. And you have others saying, hey, they're human animals. Like, you're talking about millions of people here. Then you have others in office basically saying, okay, you know what? We should consider a nuclear bomb on these people. And then you have elected officials in America, in Florida, when I forgot who it was that was giving a speech on the Senate floor and said, hey, how many more Palestinians have to be killed? And then the elected official in Florida, I forget her name, she said all of them. That was her response. Oh. This is somebody in Congress. Oh. Imagine us or anyone saying that about people of the Jewish faith, for example.
Of course.
What kind of... People are losing their careers and their jobs just for saying Israel is doing something wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
Never mind, this has nothing to do with religion. Constant. This has nothing to do with religion.
No.
This is really nothing to... Because all religions are peaceful. Yeah. And they teach people love and tolerance.
The essence, yeah. In essence, and if it's properly understood and considered.
But there's war, and I know religions speak about how to handle things in times of war and understand. There are rules of war.
They are.
And humans can't be considered collateral to war.
No,
innocent people are being called collateral.
Well, I tell you, that's where there's civility, there's the prospect to consider the human experience. I said war is very, I'm gonna tell you in my understanding and being like about real war. I mean, like
I know.
Because then there's the side of terrorism that there's no rules, right? So it's kind of like that's the issue, the merger between. And I'm not saying that this is a real.
You're not
war.
talking about this context.
Yeah. So
I know what you're saying.
And I think that's the challenge is you have people groups with a cause that remove the prospect of real war, and it becomes at the expense of actually real compassion to humans, right? And that not just Hamas, like within the United States, domestic terrorists.
Nelson Mandela was considered a terrorist.
There you go. Right. So,
and I'm not the Irish Republican Army, which is people have supported the IRA, publicly supported them. They were considered a terrorist, and they committed terrorist acts. I'm not condoning terror.
No.
Terror is terrible, but what's worse to me is state-sponsored terror when they They're doing it and they're lying to you right in your face.
There
Like,
you go.
please don't insult my intelligence.
Yeah.
At least don't insult my intelligence.
I think the only hope that we have today is, righteous voices crying out,
People.
and I think that's really the way where things will turn. Is like, unless the people, right? And I said that's the sad part of our democracy is it relies on educated people. And that's the sad state of America today, right? Like, meaning we are so moved by propaganda, quote unquote, trusted traditional media sources, and even social media is like there's uninformed opinions, right? And then there's informed. I'm uninformed on the topic, but I do know what right is. I do know what wrong is. I do know that there's a center ground that people have to grab hold of in relation to what's best, what's true, and how do you mitigate and find solutions that actually preserve people, like really preserve people groups where they feel like they have an advocate. So, man, appreciate you for number one, speaking your heart and speaking your piece on it because it's so layered. It's like it's so layered that people won't know how to start to actually be an informed advocate. You just out there bobbling head, and that doesn't serve.
It's pretty dangerous to be out there talking about stuff if you're really uninformed, right? But if you are uninformed, even on that level, you can just literally look at the pictures and the videos and say, "Wait, that's wrong.
It's wrong.
That's it. You don't even need to know."
And that's kind of where that's where when I've tuned in, I'm like, man, this is heinous, right? And like I said, there's the first layer where clearly there's the colonial aspect of Israel, which I'm very. Then there's there's generations of misunderstood tensions, but like I said, this probably starts at 100 years ago, right?
That's
like
pretty much.
So, yeah.
Yes.
So and I think it's good for people to have something to grab hold on, to anchor your argument, to anchor your seed of compassion.
And what's key for us is that we're able to talk about it. It's always been like a cloud hanging over this subject.
Sure.
Where you got to be careful what you say.
Yeah.
I know you've felt that before.
Oh, sure,
You
sure.
got to be careful because you might get, people lose their jobs.
Oh, sure.
People lose their careers.
Man, this is cancel
Kyrie
culture.
Irving, what
Kyrie
I mean?
Irving, yeah.
I love Kyrie, by the way.
Yeah,
He's
I
a
saw
hero.
him. Now, tell me the name of the head guard because I saw him on one of the interviews again.
Kofia. That's right.
Kofia?
Yeah, Kofia.
Excellent. Okay.
So what I wanted to say is, like, conversation is critically important.